Hi, this is the exploration of traumatic brain injury in the classroom by Nate Wimber. Let's start with some facts on traumatic brain injury, or TBI. Facts on TBI. Recent data shows that on average approximately 1.7 million people sustain a TBI each year just in the US. That's approximately 3 people per minute. Of those, 1.4 million are treated and released. 75% of TBIs that occur each year are concussions or other mild forms of TBI. Two age groups at greatest risk to sustain TBI are 0 to 4 and 15 to 19. Almost 500,000 emergency department visits for head injury are made annually for children aged 0 through 14. Among children ages 0 through 14, TBI results in an estimated 2,685 deaths, 37,000 hospitalizations, and 435,000 emergency room visits. There's 3 different levels of TBI, so I have characteristics of all of them. Mild TBI is the most prevalent and is often missed at the time of the initial injury. This is the reason why 15% of people have symptoms that last 1 year or more. Results from an impact to the head causing a brief change in mental status, confusion, disorientation, or loss of memory, or loss of consciousness for 30 minutes is what classifies it being a mild TBI. This is commonly referred to as post-concussive syndrome. Common symptoms of mild TBI are fatigue, sleep disturbances, visual disturbances, loss of memory, poor attention and concentration, headaches, dizziness, loss of balance, irritability or emotional disturbances, feelings of depression, and seizures. Other symptoms associated with mild TBI are mood changes, loss of smell, sensitivity to light and sounds, nausea, getting lost or confused, slowness of thinking. Characteristics of moderate TBI. Moderate TBI usually results in permanent neurobiological damage. It is defined as unconsciousness from 20 minutes to 6 hours and a score on the Glasgow Coma scale of 9 to 12. It produces lifelong deficits to varying degrees and takes place in 15 out of every 100,000 people diagnosed with TBI. With moderate TBI, death occurs 25% of the time, so that's still pretty high. All areas of functioning may be affected by a moderate injury. This includes personality, taste, physical characteristics, social, emotional, neurobiological seizures, cognitive performance, vision, hearing, communication, and sensory perception. So it's quite a few there. Common symptoms of moderate TBI are difficulty understanding spoken language, difficulty processing sensory input like touch, smell, hearing, etc. Personality changes, loss of taste or smell, paralysis, lethargy, loss of bowel or bladder control, dizziness, inappropriate emotional responses, seizures, coma, confusion, difficulty with memory, attention, and judgment, blurred vision, loss of vision, change in hearing acuity, ringing in ears, and slurred speech, just to name some. Characteristics of severe TBI. Significant and permanent neurological damage, lifelong deficits to severe degree, often requires lifetime care and assistance. Severe TBI is defined as a loss of consciousness greater than 6 hours and Glasgow Coma scale score of 3 to 8. This occurs in 14 out of every 100,000 people diagnosed, and 1/3 of the people with severe TBI die. TBI and learning. In 2004, the federal government passed a federal law called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA. IDEA guarantees a free and appropriate public education for every child with a disability. That includes TBI. If you enroll your child in public school, Their education should be at no cost to you. Furthermore, their education should be appropriate for their age, their ability, and their development. Students with TBI are often misdiagnosed for students with having a learning disability, an emotional disturbance, or mental retardation. When educational and other related services are not provided within a special education program, the designation of TBI as a separate category of disability signals that schools should provide students with funding for speech and language development, educational development, neurophysiological development, and evaluations necessary to provide the information needed for the development of an appropriate individualized education program or an IEP. TBI and social emotional development. Students with TBI often can remember life before the incident. This brings on a slew of emotions that are present while the child is attempting to learn, greatly distancing itself from other special needs. Friends, family, and even educators are also often affected from TBI incidents and brings a dynamic that is also specific to TBI. Social communication changes after a TBI incident. Just a few or 4 of them here. Social communication being impaired is common following moderate to severe traumatic brain injury. Sometimes the changes in social communication are relatively mild, having problems with word finding in conversation, and other times more severe. Several aspects of communication are heavily impaired. In terms of social emotional communication ability problems with TBI, these issues are results from both cognitive and personality changes that were caused by the TBI. Premorbid ability, emotional reactions to disability, and environmental factors may also contribute to social communication outcomes after injury. TBI teaching strategies. General teaching strategies provide repetition and consistency, demonstrate new tasks, state instructions, and provide examples to illustrate ideas and concepts, avoid figurative language, reinforce lengthening periods of attention to appropriate tasks, probe skill acquisition frequently, and provide repeated practice. Teach compensatory strategies for increasing memory. Be prepared for students, reduce stamina and increase fatigue, and provide rest breaks as needed. Keep the environment as distraction-free as possible. Identifying specific needs of the students. First and foremost, you have to find out as much as you can about the child's injury, specifics, details. Give the students more time to finish schoolwork and tests. Give directions one step at a time. Provide written directions when dealing with multiple directions at a time. Use modeling often and give ample examples of the new ideas being presented. Be very consistent. This will help the student know what to expect. If changes to the routine will occur, let the student know ahead of time, multiple times. Verify the student has truly learned the new skill. Give the student ample opportunities to practice said new skill. Guarantee that the student knows how to use an assignment book and a daily schedule. Let the student rest as needed. Students with TBI can suffer from fatigue very easily. Eliminate all the distractions. Have a constant and open flow of communication with the student's parents. You need to update each other on how the student is doing at home and at school. Remain flexible and patient. TBI resources and intervention. For resources, I have a few here. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. The CDC is a part of the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, the principal agency in the U.S. government for protecting the health and safety of all Americans and for providing essential human services, especially for people who are at least able to help themselves. Next, we have the National Dissemination Center for Children with Disabilities. The National Dissemination Center, or NICHCY, is the main source of information through emails and publications. It also links to research materials, projects, websites on IDEA and No Child Left Behind as it relates to children with disabilities, and research-based information on effective educational practices. And then I had the Traumatic Brain Injury Services of California. I wanted to do a state resource. The TBI Services of California, a network of 7 service providers throughout California, offers a variety of services to survivors of TBI, including community reintegration, service coordination, supported living, vocational supportive services, information and referral, and public professional education. For interventions, students who have sustained a TBI return to school with a multiple differentiating cognitive, psychosocial, and physical deficits that can significantly affect their academic functioning. For assessment, besides formalized assessment of cognitive skills, a functional behavioral assessment, or an FBA, is used to examine, measure, and treat many deficits associated with TBI. Behavioral changes related to increased impulsiveness, inappropriate emotional outbursts, aggression, and inattention. This is usually conducted by your special education team, which is your special educators and etc. Educators must consider different schooling options, including homebound instruction, gradual increase in school attendance, and/or change in class schedules to a less demanding course load. Specific to the student, modifications to existing materials can help students with TBI to learn and function properly in the classroom setting. TBI in my life. My best friend, Danny Vu, got in a major car accident on the way home from a college function at Cal State Long Beach in 2010. I know not only the daily ongoing battle that he has to endure, but also the battle that his family and friends also must endure. Many of Danny's friends treat the incident as if the Danny we all knew died that day. This has a negative effect on his recovery, further development, as it creates numerous emotional distractions for him. Many people Danny meets today misdiagnose him with mental retardation because of the way he's physically limited, his audible speech, his thought processes, and his ability to retain information. I still feel grief to this day, as I have not fully recovered from the incident. I don't know if I ever will. However, a friend who is an occupational therapist told me the best thing to do is to have eternal patience and to treat him as he wants to be treated, which is normally. TBI is not the end of the line in terms of growth and development. Danny was able to return to Cal State Long Beach and finish and attain his bachelor's in accounting. He is currently working towards his CPA, and although he's failed multiple times, the obstacles placed in his way have not deterred him from pressing on.